here. This is my first time going live on YouTube, and I fully expect it to be me talking to myself. But at least I'm building the muscle. I'm getting into shape when it comes to this. So very excited for those that will be watching the playback later, because I know this will blow up at some point. Very excited to be here. Want to first take a second to introduce myself and what I'm doing here and what I feel like I have to offer the YouTube universe. And then after that, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of everything. So first and foremost, I'm Melanie Nnogo. Script here. Okay, let's run that intro back. So I'm Melanie Nnogo, and I'm extremely passionate about technology. I have been a technologist honestly since I came out the womb. I was always fidgeting and playing around with whatever I could get my hands on, whether it be like the VCR and trying to fix that, or when my dad brought home our first computer, which was like a DOS operating system and nothing but letters and a blank page. I've always loved technology. Had Black Planet, used my little coding skills to customize my page. And somehow it still took me a while to figure out like technology was the field I was supposed to be in. So I eventually ended up going to Georgia Tech, which is a technical school, studying business and technology, and then wound up at a Fortune 5 company building software. And if y'all are interested, happy to go more into like the journey. But I always say I kind of tripped and fell into tech as a career. Um, but now what I do is I build technology for myself and I help others build it as well. So most people think starting a company requires investors, developers, designers, and a big team. And in the like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, completely true. I've spent almost 15 years building products, and honestly, those days are long gone. With the controversial rise of AI, it's essentially created a level playing field for anyone that has an idea, has a dream, and wants to get up and going without necessarily tons of money or tons of resources to invest into it. Today, one founder with the right tools and the right work ethic can get surprisingly far. And so I decided to start this series, the 5 Credit Startup, to build a real company in front of y'all using AI and about 5 to 10 lovable credits a day, just so that you can see it's possible. I've done it a few times. I actually have a few companies or a few products that I built using Lovable. I started on the free plan from about November to March. I was on the free plan, 5 credits a day, 6 days of credits a month, and I was able to get super, super, super far. The only reason I converted it into a paid plan now is because I have custom domains and multiple apps that I'm managing now, and so those 5 credits a day don't stretch as far as they used to. So this is for anyone that is interested in learning more. This is for all levels of techie, I should say. Complete beginners, don't know the start from the finish, to the folks that have been in the field for decades and are willing to learn something new. I'm open to all levels of conversation because I just think that more folks, especially more folks that look like me, should understand how this technology can really and truly change your life. Um, Before I dig in a little bit more, why I'm doing this, I talked a little bit about it, but I've built 3 companies. My first company, I went the traditional startup route. I built the MVP using tools that already existed. This was not even like it feels forever, but not even that long ago, 6 years ago. Um, the first company is called Minwo, and I went the traditional route. I used existing tools, Slack and Google Drive, and a couple of other tools to put together what I wanted my platform to look like, and use that to start to get users, customers, money coming in the door. And then that hodgepodge of technology got me into Techstars, which gave me my first big check. And then I used my first big check to hire a designer and a development team, or and a developer at the time. It was one designer, one developer, in order to start building the real version of the platform that I had like been faking and putting together. And then once I started going, started hiring more developers, it became this whole big operation. I had a team, probably at the high point, it was a team of 15 to 20 developers, scrum masters, managers, etc., just to keep this operation going. Now, I've scaled that company way back. I don't know if you've seen the economy lately, but things just haven't been going the way that I wanted them to go in that version. Shut it down in that version, and then decided to rebuild the platform completely from scratch using Lovable. So I did that earlier this year between December and January, something that took me 3 years, mind you, something that took me 3 years to build. Everyone's code, everyone's execution, blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. It was just mind blowing to me that it took me about, honestly, like 20 development days to rebuild it using AI. So that was my first little itch, like scratching of the itch to see like just how far these tools can go. And then after Rialto, which was the product for my first company, Minwo, I had another little brainchild that I'd been holding on to. The old version of thinking was, oh man, I don't have a developer, I don't have the money, et cetera, to build this thing. But now that I've already done one in Lovable, let me see how this other one goes. So the second company that I've started using an AI platform is called So Sappy. And what it does is it helps folks on the abroad connect with tailors that are in Nigeria for custom outfits, whether it's for prom or for weddings or for, say, you have a speaking engagement and you just want something that's super flashy and custom fit, custom made. You can come to sosapi.com, find you a tailor, get them to make you this outfit. You manage everything through the platform, and then they'll ship it out to you. So that took me about a month or so to develop. And then when that started going, that's when I started to use the paid version of Lovable versus the free version. But let me tell you, I stretched that Lovable to its like to a T. Really milked out what I could from it. So now with this series, I have a nonprofit that I also want to get off the ground, which will require, I do think it'll be more complicated than my first two apps. So y'all will be with me on that journey as I discover and feel my way through building this third company using AI tools. And I'm just really excited to have you guys along with me in the journey. Now, all three of those companies have been built with not nearly enough money. Let me tell you, not nearly enough money to get them off the ground. A moderate amount of time. I can't say that I'm super busy in this period of my life. If you talk to some of my friends, they might say I'm lying because I just got married and I'm about to have a baby, but that's neither here nor there. I would say I do have like a relatively decent amount of time right now, but I definitely don't have a team. I have an executive assistant that's working with me right now. But like I mentioned, I've leaned out my operations and my team at the moment. When there's no money to hire people and keep them employed. So had to lean that out. And so I'm hoping that this transparency resonates with some of y'all that mentally feel like you don't have the money, the time, or the people to help you get where you're trying to go. This whole series is for you to be able to say, all right, I've had this brainchild or this idea that's been burning inside of me for 5, 10, however long years. And now is the time. I'm telling you right now is the time to get that up and going. So yeah, it's not really some secret startup tactic that I got here. I will talk through some of the fundamentals. I mentioned that I've been in product management, the field, for the last 15 years. So I will bring some of that more technical, more structured knowledge to the conversation, just so that you feel as though you're learning something along the way and not just like copy pasting or like patching things together. I really do want you to take something away from this outside of just playing with technology. And I have a community called the Hustle Forward Network of startup founders that I work with to walk them through the structure, the fundamentals of building a startup. If the funding route, investor route, grant route, etc., if that's the route that you want to go, still very feasible with what we're about to talk through here in the 5 Credit Startup. I think y'all can hear that. I live not too far from an airport, like 15, 20 minutes away from an airport. So every once in a while, you will hear a random plane go by. Um, so let's talk about the Hustle Forward Network. Quick plug. Um, it is a community for experienced founders, for new founders, for technology companies, for manufacturing companies. I like to call them innovators. Anyone that sees a problem, sees an issue, and their first idea is how can I solve that, or how can I make money off of solving that? That's the communities for you. And so why I started the HFN, one, talented founders get stuck. There is no, well, now there's a lot more information available to people about how to start a company, how to start a technology company. But the blueprint, the path is still not super clear. And what I've been able to do is create a path for people to follow. You come in, you go to the website, go to realtoapp.co. You can take a 23 question questionnaire. You can skip the questions that don't apply to you. It'll let you know exactly where your company is in the grand scheme of early stage startuphood. And then from there, it'll let you know which milestones you need to complete in order to move to the next level. Now, it was important to me to create this platform because there's a big disconnect between what an entrepreneur thinks are impressive metrics or impressive milestones versus if you are going the investor and funding route, what investors see as impressive metrics and impressive milestones. And so what I wanted to do is to create some place where the expectations are aligned. You are not confused or wondering why investors aren't looking at your pitch deck or aren't calling you back, or grants or pitch competitions aren't accepting you. You have a clear idea of I'm in the getting started to idea phase. I need to have a business model of this, of that, of this, of that, and you can get that done, but and feel confident walking into the conversations that you're walking into. Talented founders get stuck. They also don't lack ideas. I cannot tell you the number of times I have seen amazing ideas from founders not go anywhere. And it's primarily, again, because not being able to efficiently navigate the early stage period. You end up spending way too much time, way too much of the few resources that you do have on the wrong things in the early stage. And then you run out of money. Money is the air a business breathes. If you have no money, you choke, you die. And so the HFN is also not because it wasn't created because there was just a lack of ideas out there. And it's the primary reason is the support, the lack of support, I should say. And so coming to the HFN, you're surrounded by other innovators that are trying things that you may never have considered trying, that are facing problems that are similar to yours. And it just gives you an opportunity to be able to chit chat back and forth to get a better understanding of where you are, what you're doing, and how you can progress in your business. I always used to say founding alone, like in a silo, it's very depressing. It can be very depressing. Even if you're doing well, you will still face challenges. No matter what level you're at, you will still face challenges. And so it's extremely important that you have at least one other founder friend that you can commiserate to. Because let me tell you, your mama, your daddy, your sisters, your cousins, your brothers, your aunties and uncles, unless they're also in this journey, they likely cannot relate in the same way. right? Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. I don't believe it's an easier route than the 9 to 5. I always say you just have to pick your hard, you have to pick your headache. Me, I knew I was not a corporate girly. I was not that lasted not very long for me. And it's not because I don't enjoy a paycheck every 2 weeks. It's not because I don't enjoy healthcare. It's just my makeup and the way that my brain operates and thinking outside of the box and wanting to have freedom over how I operate. That's just not the corporate environment in most places. And so if you come on over to entrepreneurship land, yes, you may not get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You may go a little bit of time without healthcare. You may not be able to, you know, do certain things that your people or your friends and your family are doing because you're focused on the initial phase of getting things up and going. But if you stay the course and you stay consistent, and you find the structure that works for you, it can be very rewarding, right? It has different perks. And like I said, you just pick your perk. Um, so yeah, these all of the reasons that I mentioned above is why I started the Hustle Forward Network. Most founders don't need another motivational quote. I mean, I do like seeing them on my timeline. Sometimes it does help. Just reminding myself that I am that girl and I'm doing work that a lot of people don't believe they could do. But most importantly, what they need is structure, and what they need is community. And they need extremely practical ways to move forward. And so it's in the name, right? We don't hustle backwards over here. We don't do the most and get the least out of it. We are strategic in how we move forward, hence, hustle forward. Okay. Mm. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about AI. AI is extremely controversial, and I get it. I have two very conflicting but equal thoughts on this AI conversation, and I'll start with the humanitarian version. I am of the community and the type of person that if there are things that negatively impact others, which we have seen with AI in the data centers that are polluting water throughout the United States, and the unethical ways that AI has been is being used, say for facial recognition and things like that. All of those types of things, I am firmly and clearly against. I should we have AI regulation that is extremely stringent? Yes, et cetera, et cetera. I believe all of those things should be in place, and I fully support each and every human being that is working toward making that happen. I am also of the firm belief that these tools and technologies are here. And what I don't want to see is the technology and the wealth gap for my people continue to widen because we will not get in the game. We've seen it with every technological evolution that has come. It feels like the gap just gets a little bit wider, a little bit wider, a little bit wider, a little bit wider. What um, our counterparts tend to do is whether it's ethical or not, they find a way to make money out of the situation. And then if it gets shut down, they get out, right? It's almost like an MLM. For them, all of these technology advances, what have you, they're essentially an MLM. Whoever gets in first, and by MLM, I mean multi level marketing scheme, if you're familiar with those. The main tenet is whoever gets in first makes the most money, and then they get out before the whole thing collapses. And what I'm trying to do with this AI wave in technology is listen, this may collapse at some point. We're seeing articles about how AI is actually ending up to be more expensive for companies than hiring humans, et cetera, et cetera. Who knows what the end result will be? But there is definitely going to be a golden time where money can be made. And that's what I'm here for. And that is what I'm here to share with other people as well. So, this whole channel, or this whole series, I should say, the 5 Credit Startup, is really about just getting that exposure, learning what's out there, learning how you can use it to your advantage, learning how you could potentially make a little bit of money out of it. And then if and when the ethics take over, the governance takes over, the compliance takes over, which I hope it does, at least you would have made a little bit of money out of the situation before things change. So let's talk a little bit more about what we're building. And I promise you, this episode, I just wanted it to be like a grounding situation, get to know me, get to know my thought process, my personality, and all that stuff. Next episode, next week, we'll dive right into all of the technology and stuff. But some things that you should get familiar with if you're not. I use ChatGPT to help me flesh out the product requirements of whatever I'm building. So I'm actually on the free plan for ChatGPT. So you'll see at some point I'll get cut off, and that'll probably be the end of the day for that. So I use that to set the outline. I use it to then, okay, once we've fleshed out what I want this product to look like, give me a lovable prompt to get me started. So then I'll take that over, I'll take it to Lovable, upload that, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll just continue to develop out the different pieces day by day by day until the whole entire platform is available. Now, I mentioned this next company is a nonprofit. It's called Abroad Impact Collective. You can go to abroadimpact.org right now, and you'll just see a landing page, so you know that this is real. Like, there's actually absolutely nothing built right now. And by the end of this, hopefully, you'll see the before and the after. So this nonprofit is essentially helping Africans abroad support loved ones back home with more transparency and more structure. The idea for this nonprofit came from watching my mom and aunties and other family members constantly send money back home, whether it's just because they felt like it or for emergencies, funerals that came up, tuition fees that couldn't be paid, et cetera, et cetera. And recognizing they send buku money home, and as of right now, there's no real tax incentive that they're able to get for their altruism. And so hoping that this nonprofit can be a way for them to kill two birds with one stone, to be able to still continue to do the good that they do while abroad, but then also lessen their tax burden while they do it, so that they can do more good, right? It just gives them more capital to be able to do more good. So that's the premise of the nonprofit. What we'll be building is a platform to manage the operations of it all. So from bringing donor money in, sorting it out based on categories. Some people want to donate to educational initiatives, some people emergency relief, others healthcare, and etc. So being able to collect all of that in an easy way, and then and then also being able to create a way for donors to be able to donate on a regular basis, make it seamless, whether it's a membership model or what have you, not really sure yet. We'll talk about that next episode. And then being able to, once the donations hit the platform, be able to then, on the other side, on the disbursement side, manage, all right, who is eligible to receive these donations. So some type of qualification process, being able to verify who they are, verify the actual need, that kind of stuff, and then being able to disperse the funds and be able to track the impact of those funds over time. And so I think that's a high level of what the platform, the goal of the platform. Now, as you'll get to know, I tend to get a little extravagant, fancy when it comes to building out features and functionalities and things like that. My goal is to keep it simple. This is what's supposed to be considered an MVP. Anything that I build in Lovable, I consider it to be an MVP. It's probably good up until your first 10,000 users or so. And then after that, you will eventually have to build a custom platform or a custom version of your app, because Lovable can only do so much. It does a lot. It does great stuff, but it can only do so much. And so that's what this will be. MVP, meaning minimum viable product, meaning the basic version of what you need to get up and going and to show proof that your idea has merit. So 25 minutes. Honestly, I thought I wouldn't get past 10. But if you're still here, I appreciate you. Come back next week and we'll actually get to start the building. If you are interested in being more connected between sessions, join us in the Hustle Forward Network. If you go to rialtoapp.co, the link's in the bio or in the description for this, but if you go to rialtoapp.co and do the assessment, go through the assessment. You can also sign up to join a neighborhood, join the Hustle Forward Network, and I'll see you and get you added. We meet monthly as a community just to share ideas, keep each other lifted, make sure we know what's going on with each other and how we can support. And there's a bunch of other features like perks for different tools. Um, there are resources that I upload, educational resources to help you learn as you go. Um, there's a forum where you can talk to other people. There's a bunch of stuff. You'll find it out when you get there. And then also, if you want to build along with me, use my referral link. It's in the description for Lovable. Um, you get credits, I get credits if you get on a paid plan, mutually beneficial. But use this opportunity to hold yourself accountable. Maybe these weekly live sessions are I'm working on my app, you're working on your app, you ask a question if you get stuck. I might throw out a question if I'm stuck. Let's turn this into a little co-building community situation. All right. Okay, I think I've chatted your heads off enough. I will see you next week. Until next time, I'm Melanie, and thanks for joining me.